When the PlayStation 2 dropped in 2000, it felt like the future had arrived. Games were evolving fast, and a few studios took better advantage of that than Rockstar Games. In just a few short years, they hit us with classic after classic: The Warriors, Max Payne, and of course the game changer, Grand Theft Auto. GTA made its mark by ushering in the 3D era of open world chaos, and Rockstar wasn't done. When Sony launched the PSP, Rockstar saw an opportunity, and being the innovators they are, they set out to bring Grand Theft Auto to handhelds. Their idea? Simple. What's better than GTA? Maybe GTA on the go. And in doing so, they created an underrated gem that often gets overlooked. Welcome to episode 12 of the Rockstar Takeover. Today, we're checking out Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If this is your first time here, I'm glad you found the channel. I'm currently hosting the Rockstar Takeover, a full-on celebration of all things Rockstar games. Originally, this was all leading up to the release of GTA 6, but then Rockstar decided to delay the game. I was annoyed, like all of us, but I made a promise to finish what I started. So, if you love games like GTA, Bully, Max Payne, or Red Dead, you come to the right place. If you want to support the channel, the most important thing you can do is subscribe. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and right now we're just under 3K left. Also, dropping a like helps the algorithm push this video out to more viewers. And if you're feeling a little extra generous, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. With that said, let's dive into this. Now, if this is your first Rockstar Takeover video, feel free to skip ahead. We're about to recap. I'll give you a few seconds now. In the late 80s in Dundee, Scotland, a small group of friends gathered at the Kingsway Amateur Computer Club. That group: Russell K., Mike Daly, Steve Hammond, Gary Timmons, and David Jones will go on to form DMA Design. Success didn't come overnight, but it officially came when they created Lemmings, a puzzle game that became a global phenomenon that put them on the map. After Lemmings, Mike Daly began tinkering with a top-down cityscape tech demo, programming little cars to drive around. David Jones saw the spark in it and decided to join in. The project originally was called Race and Chase. Eventually, it evolved into something much bigger and, shall I say, much more controversial. When it finally launched in 1997 under the name Grand Theft Auto, the game became an instant hit and a magnet for media outrage, even getting banned in some countries like Brazil. Instead of immediately chasing a full sequel, Take-Two Interactive greenlit two expansions, GTA London 69 and GTA London 61. Then in 1999, GTA 2 dropped, this time under the Rockstar Games publishing label. Around this time, Rockstar officially acquired DMA Design, and not long after, co-founder David Jones would exit the company, just as the next evolution of the franchise was quietly taking shape. That next game, Grand Theft Auto 3. It released in 2001 and revolutionized gaming, ushering in the 3D open world era and turning Rockstar into a household name. DMA Design was rebranded as Rockstar North, and almost immediately, the team began working on what was originally planned as an expansion, something similar to the London packs. But the project grew far beyond that, eventually becoming Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Vice City wasn't just an upgrade, it was a cultural moment. From the 1980s aesthetic to the licensed soundtrack to the Scarface energy, it was clear Grand Theft Auto arrived as a legitimate titan of the industry. And just when people thought they'd seen it all, Rockstar dropped San Andreas. That game didn't just raise the bar, it obliterated it. With RPG mechanics, multiple cities, a deeply personal story, and one of the biggest controversies in gaming history, San Andreas wasn't just a bestseller, it was the highest selling PS2 game of all time. And now that you're all caught up, let's talk about Liberty City Stories. After the success of the PlayStation 2, Sony was sitting on a throne. Xbox hadn't hit its stride yet, and while the GameCube had its fan base, it lagged behind in the console war. A huge part of Sony's dominance came down to exclusives, and none were more impactful than GTA 3. For a while, it felt like GTA belonged to the PS2, and with titles like Vice City, San Andreas, and more in the pipeline, Sony had locked down the 6th generation. But Sony wasn't content with just winning the living room. They had sights set on the portable scene. For years, Nintendo ruled handheld gaming console with the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance. Sony wanted in. So, in 2004, they launched the PlayStation Portable, also known as the PSP, in Japan. And a few months later, it hit North America. Sleek, powerful, and built like a pocket-sized console, the PSP was Sony's answer to Nintendo's dominance, and Rockstar took notice. Fresh off the overwhelming success of San Andreas, Rockstar didn't rush into another sprawling home console epic. Instead, they saw the PSP as an opportunity to bring the full Grand Theft Auto experience to a portable system, and more importantly, keep the GTA hype alive. Liberty City Stories was their big swing. Rockstar wanted this to be the killer app for the new Sony handheld, a title that would not only show off the PSP's horsepower, but also introduce a new wave of players to the franchise. For this ambitious project, Rockstar North teamed up with Rockstar Leeds, and the two studios decided to take a bold step. They abandoned the renderware engine used throughout the 3D era of GTA and started from scratch. In an article, it stated, to ensure the game's quality, Rockstar Leeds and Rockstar North decided to build Liberty City from the ground up. Rockstar dropped renderware in favor of a brand new in-house engine to best utilize the resolution, texture density, and particle effects of the PSP. It has been in development for over 2 years. Liberty City Stories is a new crafted full GTA game, and they can't emphasize this enough. Instead of doing a quick port or repackaged remix, Rockstar rebuilt Liberty City with the PSP in mind, keeping the scale and freedom of GTA intact while optimizing performance for handheld unique specs. The game was heavily promoted alongside The Warriors and Bully at E3, where early prototypes gave press and fans a taste of what portable GTA would look like. Safe to say, people were curious. And just like Vice City before it, Liberty City Stories will serve as a prequel, taking place in 1998, 3 years before the events of GTA 3. Fans were eager to revisit the familiar streets of Liberty City, but this time with new missions, new characters, and finally, an in-game map. For many, that was already a game changer. Then, on October 25th, 2005, Liberty City Stories officially launched on the PSP. And from that moment, GTA on the go was no longer a dream. It was real, and it changed the handheld landscape forever.
Come on, Tony, take a drive with me. We're gonna go fight organized crime, man. Run along the precinct, fill out a report. You're a good kid.
We run things now, you and me, we're a team, huh?
We are at peace now. You and your old country. All we really want wanted was clarity.
Here's a quick spoiler alert as I'm about to tell the story behind Liberty City Stories. There will also be light spoilers for GTA 3 as well. Now, if you're not a fan of spoilers, please advance this video to the gameplay overview section as seen on the timeline below. Let's dive into this. So keep in mind, Liberty City Stories takes place 2 years before the events of GTA 3, dropping us right into 1998. A colder, grimier Liberty City before Claude ever set foot there. The game opens with our protagonist, Toni Cipriani, rolling back into town on a bus after years of laying low. His first stop? A payphone, where he calls for a taxi to take him to Salvatore Leone's Gentleman Club in St. Mark's. Inside, Toni reunites with Don Salvatore Leone, who greets him warmly, thanking him for his past loyalty and for staying under the radar. But the welcome home vibes change quickly when Salvatore tells Toni he'll be working for Vincenzo Silli. Toni's not exactly thrilled with the idea and says as much, but Salvatore reminds him of one simple fact. He's the boss. Out of respect and maybe a little fear, Toni swallows his pride and agrees.
Hey, so there he is, huh?
Hey.
So listen, Toni, I know you did a good thing first, and I know you've been lying low for a long time. So I want you to take it easy for a while, huh? Vincenzo will look after you. You need some money? Ask him. You need a job? Lucky he'll take care of you. What more could a family guy ask for? Even my son done got it so good.
But, Mr. Leone, I thought we got history. I mean, I've done a lot for this family. And now you're expecting me to take orders from this... Well, it just doesn't seem right.
Toni, I know what you did, and no one is more grateful than me, honestly. But the idea that you walk in here and start to question my leadership right away is, quite frankly, out of order. Capiche?
I understand, boss.
So when you need something, give Vincenzo a call down at Atlantic Key. He'll take care of you. Won't you, Lucky?
Of course, boss. Anything you say. Tell you what, we can go there now.
After the meeting with Salvatore, Vincenzo wastes no time letting Toni know who's calling the shots. He tells Toni to drive over to the new apartment he's renting for him and then to drop him off at his warehouse in Atlantic Quays. Once they reach the apartment, Toni steps inside and changes into a fresh set of clothes, more Leone enforcer than bus passenger. From there, he sets off to the warehouse, where Vincenzo wastes no opportunity to remind Toni that he's the boss. Not long after, Vincenzo tells him about a dealer who's been avoiding his work in Chinatown. Toni heads over to St. Mark's, finds the guy, and gets nothing but excuses about being sick. Toni doesn't buy it and drags him back to his patch in Chinatown. It's only then the dealer admits the real reason he's been MIA. The Sindacco Crime Family has taken over the area and he's afraid they'll kill him. Sure enough, by the time Toni reports back to Vincenzo, who's literally in the bathroom making a deposit, the dealer's already been taken out by the Sindaccos. Vincenzo sends Toni straight back to Chinatown to settle the score. Behind Mr. Wong's laundrette, Toni guns down a group of Sindacco dealers, then hunts down and eliminates 2 more scattered around the city. With blood on the pavement, Toni returns to Vincenzo, only to be handed a new job. J.D. O'Toole, a Sindacco family member, wants to defect to the Leones. At first, Toni dismisses the idea, but Vincenzo explains they could use J.D. as an inside man. That's all Toni needs to hear. He heads to the construction site in Hepburn Heights, a Sindacco stronghold, and miles down wave after wave of their men. Finally, he takes out a high-ranking Sindacco thug near his car, claiming the man's cell phone as proof of the hit. Seconds later, the phone rings. It's J.D.
Toni, oh, you just gave me some great snuff footage.
JD, you saw that? You're filming me?
I was just teaching for my own use. I can't wait till we're on the same team.
Don't get too excited. You still owe me money.
Take that Sindacco just cause deposit, huh? Just repay it so no one recognizes it. I'll take care of his body.
After taking the hit on the Sindaccos, Toni takes the car to the paint spray for a fresh coat, shaking off any unwanted heat. Back in Vincenzo's, the welcome isn't any warmer. In fact, Vincenzo's furious. 3 Leone gang members manage to screw up what he calls a simple job at the Amco petrol station in Harwood. Toni can't resist but poking fun at Vincenzo's so-called leadership skills, which only earns him another order: go bail them out. Toni grabs a 4-door car and heads to Harwood. He finds the Leone crew cornered by Liberty City police, drags them into the car, and peels out. So with sirens wailing, Toni swings by the paint spray to ditch the heat, then drops the crew back at the warehouse. Later, Toni returns to find Vincenzo on the phone with his mother, no less, and saying goodbye in the most disrespectful way possible. Toni calls him out for talking to her while receiving certain services from a prostitute. Vincenzo brushes it off and quickly moves on to his next errand. His drug-loaded Banshee needs picking up so Leones can keep their supply flowing through the city. Toni finds the car easily enough, but the second he tries to drive away, the cops swarm in. A high-speed chase erupts with a 3-star wanted level. Using every alley and shortcut he knows, Toni loses the police at the paint spray and delivers the Banshee to a Leone lockup in St. Mark's. That's when Vincenzo calls, and this time the conversation gets heated.
Hey, Toni, how's the car?
You son of a bitch, Vinny, you set me up.
Set you up? Set you up? When you came back to the city, you had nothing. Nothing! I set you up all right, you ungrateful bastard. With an apartment and a job, and for that generosity, I expect you to take a few risks now and then. I ain't a charity, pal, okay? And I ain't your sugar daddy. So the police were watching the car. Screw the police. When I tell you to do something, you do it. Capiche?
Oh yeah, I understand, Vinny. I understand that as long as I work for you, I get treated like a bitch. Well look, I was making scores while you were looking up girls' skirts. Have your bitch job back, boss. I quit.
Toni, you're making a bitch.
After finally cutting ties with Vincenzo, Toni decides to end things with a parting gift, driving Vincenzo's car straight into the scrapyard and having it crushed into a cube. It's a small but satisfying piece of payback. Not long after, Toni gets a call from his mother, demanding he come see her. But before dealing with Mrs. Cipriani, Toni makes a stop to check with J.D. O'Toole at Paulie's Rainier Bar. He finds J.D. in, let's just say, a compromising situation, wearing a gimp suit and experimenting with a prostitute named Raven. After some awkward small talk, J.D. changes back into his normal clothes, and the two hop into his van to collect payments from J.D.'s working girls around the red light district. They need at least $700 before the rounds are done. So Toni drives from corner to corner collecting cash and dodging trouble. With enough money in hand, he drops J.D. back at the bar. But trouble was already brewing. Returning later, Toni finds J.D. in a panic. The LCPD is planning to raid the bar, and worse, Salvatore Leone is inside. If the cops catch him there, it's over. Toni hustles Salvatore into a car, loses the heat at the paint spray, and drops him safely at home. The close call gives the two men a chance to patch things up.
You did well today, son. I like your style. I always have.
Thank you, Mr. Leone.
You know, I think Vincenzo is taking up too much of your time. I could use a good fellow like you. Give me a call sometime. Uncle Sal will take care of you.
The next time Toni checks in with J.D., he's warned about the trouble brewing at the Leone-controlled casino in St. Mark's. On the way there, J.D. calls again. The Sindacco family is planning an all-out attack. Sure enough, a crew of Sindaccos pull up in Argentino, one of them trying to plant a bomb at the casino entrance. Toni cuts them down before they can finish the job. Just when it seems clear, another Sindacco crew arrives in a Yankee truck loaded with explosives. They park it right outside the casino, but when Toni tries to drive it away, he finds the gear shift locked in first. Crawling at a snail's pace, he barely manages to move it far enough before the truck explodes into a fireball. With the casino saved, Tony's ready to take the fight back to the Sindaccos. JD tips him off on the Dollhouse, a casino in Bordello that's the Sindaccos' main source of income in Liberty City. Tony heads to 8 Ball's bomb shop, gets a vehicle rigged with explosives, and drives it straight into the Dollhouse garage. After arming the bomb, he sprints away as the car detonates, leveling the building and taking out a healthy chunk of the Sindacco family in one glorious explosion. After wrapping up business with JD, Tony finally decides to visit his mother. As expected, Ma Cipriani greets him with complaints, accusing him of never calling and even comparing him unfavorably to Giovanni Casa, a delicatessen owner in Chinatown. Determined to prove Casa is no saint, Tony heads to the man's apartment in St. Mark's and grabs his camera. Following Casa, Tony watches as he picks up 2 prostitutes and drives to a secluded spot in Callahan Point. There, Casa changes into a diaper and chases the woman around like some twisted playground game. Tony snaps a photo, but Casa spots him and bolts. Proud of his evidence, Tony returns to Ma's restaurant, expecting approval, but instead she turns it back on him, questioning why her son is out here taking photos of men in diapers, and still defending Casa's character. A later visit doesn't go any better. Ma accuses Tony of being afraid of the triads and declares he's no son of hers. To prove her wrong, Tony hunts down and eliminates 2 groups of triads, hoping this will finally earn her respect. Tony learns of Dan Sucho, a street racer Ma admires for his talent and devotion to his own mother. She tells Tony that if his father was still alive, he would have beaten Sucho and killed him afterward. Taking the hint, Tony challenges Sucho to a race, wins, and guns him down. Yet when he returns, Ma isn't satisfied. She complains that Giovanni Casa has stopped paying protection money since the diaper incident. Strangely, while she is not thrilled with Casa's defiance, she admits she admires his guts, even saying she wishes Tony had them. When Tony visits her one final time, she tells him outright she's had enough.
Tony? I'm just on the phone. Yeah, he's here now. Okay, I'll call him. Bye. Tony? Come to upset your mother again, huh? You spend all day playing the tough guy? You never come to see me. I'll bring home any nice girls, but who's going to anyway? You're so patient and thin. You're trying to kill me with the shame and the worry. Well, no more. From this point on, we're through. I've called a hit on you. It's really the only way, Antonio.
What? Ma?
You were always a disobedient boy. It's for the best, son. At least try to die like a real man. Try to stop shaming me.
What follows is wave after wave of hitmen sent to kill Tony. He fights them off, proving he can survive. But it doesn't matter. From now on, more hitmen will come for him at random. Tony is officially a marked man. Putting the dysfunctional family drama aside, Tony returns to Salvatore and accepts his offer to work together again. Salvatore isn't in a great mood though. Jane Hopper, leader of the dock workers' strike, is blocking his use of the docks to move drugs into Portland despite his help starting the strikes in the first place. Salvatore reluctantly sends Tony to the docks with cash to pay her off. When Tony delivers the money, Hopper thanks him for the donation and quickly disappears, leaving her men to attack Tony for crossing the picket line. Tony fights his way out and heads back to Salvatore, who decides if he can't get Hopper on his side, he can at least keep her workers distracted. Tony's new task: pick up 6 prostitutes from around the city and deliver them to the striking dock workers at Portland Harbor. After completing this errand, Tony gets an unexpected phone call from none other than Maria Latour.
Hello, Fido. It's Maria.
Salvatore gave me your number. Well, I found it in his address. But whatever. You're his new doggy, right? Well, I want to go walking. I'll expect you over soon.
After the call, Toni checks back with Salvatore, who's had enough of the dock strikes stalling his business. This time, Salvatore orders him to persuade a few union bosses to see things his way. Toni tracks down 3 of them around the city, chasing each one until they decide it's smarter to cooperate than resist. But Jane Hopper isn't backing down. Back at Salvatore's place, Toni finds him listening to the radio as Hopper boldly announces she's not afraid of the mob trying to control the docks. That's the last straw. Salvatore sends Toni to make an example out of her. Toni heads to the head radio station in Harwood, takes out her chauffeur, and slips into his clothes. When Hopper finishes her interview, she walks straight into the limo, assuming Toni is her driver. She orders him to take her to the picket line at the Harwood Ferry Terminal, but halfway through the ride, she realizes who's behind the wheel. Toni responds by giving her the ride of her life, tearing across Portland in a chaotic display until she finally agrees to do what Salvatore says.
And don't forget our little agreement, lady.
With the dock situation handled, Toni begins working for Maria Latour. Their first meeting is in her tiny St. Mark's apartment, where Maria asks him to take her shopping in Portland View. Turns out shopping is code for shoplifting, and Toni is just her getaway driver. After hitting a few stores, Toni drops her back off at home, where she starts flirting with him before slipping inside. On his next visit, Toni finds Maria on the phone with her sugar dealer. She has Toni drive her to Chinatown to meet him, but the dealer turns out to be a Sindacco member, riding with another mobster in a Sindacco Argentino. The moment Maria gets in, the car speeds off. It's a kidnapping. Toni chases them down, rams the Argentino until it's forced to stop, and guns down the would-be kidnappers. Maria, thrilled to be rescued, calls him her hero and asks to be taken home. Back at her apartment, she even invites him in for coffee, but Toni turns her down. Not long after, Maria leaves Toni a note in her apartment, explaining she's entered herself in the first prize for a motorcycle race through Chinatown and Callahan Point. Knowing this will drive Salvatore crazy, Toni enters the 2-lap checkpoint race to win her back, which he does, but when he tries to talk some sense into her, she simply rides off into the distance.
Come on, Maria, let's go.
Well, finally! Mr. Tough Guy makes his move.
Look, Maria, you're Salvatore's girl.
I'm my own girl. You're such a goddamn square. Come on, Wayne, let's party.
Later, Toni returns to Maria's apartment, only to find her crying in her bed. Through sobs, she tells him that Wayne, the biker she ran off with, beat her after she claimed to be in a relationship with Toni. Furious, Toni storms off into a biker gathering in Chinatown to confront Wayne. Wayne clearly catches wind of Toni's arrival and bolts on his motorcycle, leaving his gang to slow Toni down. Fighting through the biker ambush, Toni eventually catches up to Wayne, ending the chase and Wayne's life. A short time later, Toni checks back on Maria, but finds her on the verge of overdosing after a cocktail of drugs. Barely coherent, she tells Toni she needs Zap, and he rushes her to Rusty Round's Bring Donuts in Callahan Point, where she's convinced she left some. But upon arrival, she changes her story, now claiming the stash is behind her trash can at Hepburn Heights. Unfortunately, the bikers spot them outside the diner and give chase, seeking payback for Wayne's death. Weaving through traffic and dodging relentless biker attacks, Toni escorts Maria to Hepburn Heights, only to find the trash can has been cleaned out. Maria suddenly remembers another stash back at her place. Irritated but desperate to keep her safe, Toni heads there, only to discover she met Salvatore Leone's mansion all along. Once they arrive, Maria, still dazed, lashes out at Toni, blaming her for taking too long, and their bizarre, chaotic relationship comes to an abrupt end.
What kind of driver are you? That took ages. I could have OD'd. I'm a mess. I'm gonna need a new wardrobe, a little nip and tuck the works. Honey, have you got some money?
Not really.
Well, what the hell have you been coming on to me for? I'm Salvatore's girl. He's loaded. Don't you ever hit on me again.
Not long after, Toni walks into Salvatore's home in the middle of an argument between Salvatore and Melina. Ignoring the drama, Salvatore explains a drug shipment is arriving in Liberty City and wants Toni to make sure it goes smoothly. Toni rounds up 3 Leone family members and heads to Portland Harbor, where the deal is set to go down with the Colombian cartel, including their man Miguel. Just as the exchange is about to happen, the LCPD and FBI swarm the scene in a sting operation. Toni instantly suspects Miguel is setting them up and cuts down the cartel crew in the chaos, including Miguel, who somehow survives yet again. With bullets flying, Toni takes out the cartel's patriot, suffers stuffed with drugs, and shakes the cops in a high-speed chase and delivers the vehicle to a Leone lockup in St. Mark's. Moments later, his phone rings. J.D. O'Toole is on the line.
Hey, Toni, it's J.D. I hear it all over. You're headed for big things. I just hope you don't go forget your old pal J.D. when you get to the top, right? Hey, drop by sometime, okay, buddy?
After JD's call, Toni heads over to his bar and finds him in full panic mode. Between the rambling and nervous pacing, JD finally gets to the point. Salvatore has been kidnapped by the Sindacco Crime Family. They plan to crush him alive at the hardwood auto crusher. Toni tails a Sindacco goon to Chinatown, where 2 more gang members are guarding his car. Salvatore is locked in the trunk. Toni wastes the guards, jumps into the car, and drives Salvatore home. Shaken but alive, Salvatore vows to tear the Sindaccos apart, thanking Toni for saving his life. Not long after, JD calls again, warning Toni that an enraged Salvatore is on his way to the club to kill every Sindacco he can find in retaliation. JD has left a sniper rifle on a rooftop across the street. Toni gets into position just as Salvatore arrives with 2 Leone bodyguards, pushing his way towards the back of the club. Toni picks off hostile Sindaccos from above, clearing the path. Eventually, Salvatore blasts through the last man himself with a shotgun, seizing Paulie's bar and claiming the red light district for the Leones. The Sindaccos retreat to Staunton Island. When Toni returns to the bar, JD tells him about Massimo Torrini of the Sicilian Mafia, who's supposedly in town to broker a peace between the families. Salvatore isn't buying it and sends Toni to tell him. From Salvatore's home, Toni follows Torrini's helicopter to Hepburn Heights, where Torrini promises the Diablos control of the neighborhood if they help the Silicans. Next stop is Chinatown, where Torrini makes the same pitch to the Triads until they spot Toni. Torrini takes off, leaving Toni to gun down the attackers before reporting back to Salvatore. JD calls Toni one last time, saying he's finally going to be a made man with the Leone family. Toni drives to the bar to pick him up, where Mickey Hamfist is waiting in a Leone car. Together, they head towards the hardwood auto crusher. On the way, a Sindacco hit squad tries to intercept, but Toni manages to lose them. When they arrive, it's clear this isn't a ceremony that JD was going to. It was a hit.
Hey, are we there? Where's Salvatore? Toni, the first drink's on me.
Hey, the guy was a fucking rat. He screwed over his own boss. Disgraziato. Salvatore could never have trusted that motherfucker. Dump the fucking car in the river. You could drop me off on the way.
With JD's body still in the passenger seat, Toni drops Mickey off in Portland View, then disposes of the car in the water to erase any evidence. Soon after, Vincenzo calls, claiming he feels bad about their past feud. He invites Toni to patch things up. Toni reluctantly agrees, but makes it clear, if Vincenzo tries anything, it'll be the last mistake he makes. At Vincenzo's warehouse, Toni learns the meeting will actually be aboard a ship in Atlantic ways. Against his better judgment, he goes, only to be ambushed by chainsaw-wielding thugs in a hole. Toni cuts them down, and when Vincenzo shows up, expecting to find him dead, Toni is ready. Vincenzo rants about how Toni's become Salvatore's right-hand man that opens fire with the micro SMG. Toni returns fire, dropping Vincenzo with a shot in the head, ending their feud for good. Not long after, Salvatore calls with another problem. "We've got bugs," he says, and he doesn't mean the insect kind. Toni heads over to his place immediately.
Toni, we got trouble. Big trouble.
What is it, Sal?
What's the world coming to? We got the Diablos crawling all over us in Hepburn. They're kicking our asses. We just finished one goddamn war, and bang! We're right in the middle of another. I swear, just when things were looking up, I'm cursed. I'm fucking cursed.
Hey, don't worry about a thing, boss. I'll deal with this.
Cipriani heads out to deal with the Diablo, starting in Hepburn Heights before moving on to the Red Light District. One by one, he wipes out every Diablo in sight. Not long after, Toni stops by Salvatore's mansion and finds him ready to take his new car with Maria in town for a spin. Before leaving, Salvatore gives Toni a critical job. Pick up a large stash of Leone money from a warehouse in Callahan Point. He trusts no one else to handle it. When Toni arrives, the job turns into chaos. The triads blow the place sky high with explosives, setting it ablaze. Toni scrambles through the flames, saving the cash while gunning down waves of triads flooding the area. On his way back to Salvatore's, more triads intercept him, but Toni pushes through and delivers the money safely. Back at the mansion, Salvatore's paranoia is at an all-time high.
Well,
what?
don't play dumb with me, kid. I was playing dumb when your mother was still turning tricks.
What's your problem?
I know what you've been saying about me. You think I'm an idiot? Huh? Is that what you think?
Boss, I ain't been saying nothing about you.
What the fuck? I don't know what's happening to me. Jesus, I'm getting paranoid, Toni. Really fucking paranoid. Just because I think everyone hates me doesn't mean they don't. Know what I mean? Someone is out to get me. It's that fucking mayor. He's gonna blame me for all this shit that's been going down in the neighborhood. All of it. Not just the crap that I did, but all of it. Come on, let's go take care of this.
Toni drives Salvatore to the terminal, only to be met by the police and FBI. An immediate high-speed chase kicks off. Salvatore directs Toni toward the unfinished Callahan Bridge, where the ramp has been set up. The two make a daring leap from Portland Island to Staunton Island, landing safely to the other side and heading straight for a Leone safe house in Newport. With the Leones not operating out of Staunton Island, Salvatore assigns Toni to his next job via payphone outside the courthouse: assassinate Mayor Roger Hole during his daily run in Belleville Park. The park is crawling with police and Secret Service agents, so Toni enters unarmed, blending in until the time is right. He eliminates the mayor, snatches his cell phone, and escapes back to the safe house. After that, it's time for Toni to finally become a made man. Returning to the safe house, he finds a letter from Salvatore saying someone will pick him up. When he steps outside, Mickey Handfist is waiting. Toni hesitates. Memories of J.D. O'Toole's setup fresh in his mind, but he gets in the car. They drive to Bedford Point, where Toni is led down an alley, lined up with Leone gang members at both ends. This time, there's no betrayal, only the moment he's been waiting for.
Salvatore's just down there. Malone, me, what are you waiting for?
Toni, my boy, today's the day you're being made.
Oh, Salvatore, I missed the Leone. Our mom has been waiting for this day.
Now officially a made man, Toni gets a call from Salvatore. With the mayor no longer a problem, the city is no longer under Forelli control, meaning the Leones have an opening. Salvatore wants a friendly politician in their pocket, and he knows just the businessman, Donald Love. Toni heads to Love's apartment and finds him preparing for a bizarre morgue party. The guest of honor, a corpse, currently en route to the pathology labs. Love sends Toni to intercept it and bring the body back. Later, Toni meets Donald at his construction skyscraper in Bedford Point. The election between Love and his opponent Miles O'Donovan is coming down to the wire. Love orders Toni to take a campaign van and dump and drum up the public support, while also eliminating O'Donovan's 2 campaign vans. When Toni visits Love's apartment building in Torrington, Love laser focuses on winning. He explains that O'Donovan has multiple campaigners working for him, and Toni heads out to remove them permanently. The election fraud doesn't stop there. Back at the construction site, Love tells Toni that the Forellis have stake in the company's manufacturing the voting machines. Even Donald won't stop rigging ballots, but that's fine with Toni, causing malfunction at the factory. First stop is Phil Cassie's fully stocked gun shop to pick up a prepaid flamethrower. Then Toni storms the Fort Staunton factory, taking out the Forelli guards, burning 8 pallets of fake ballot papers, and destroying the printing machines. Soon after, Love needs publicity shots for his campaign and asks Toni to watch his back during a photo op. The limo winds up in a Newport alley, right into a Forelli ambush. Hitmen with M4s open, killing the chauffeur. Toni pops the trunk, grabs a sniper rifle, and takes out every attacker. On the drive back to Love's apartment, another Forelli hitman tails them in a bobcat, but Toni shakes him off and gets Donald Love home safely.
I can't fight an election as a virtual recluse. We'll have to think about using different tactics.
Still neck deep in election fraud, Toni drops by Donald's construction site to find the polls hanging by a thread. Despite his earlier moral stance against vote rigging, Donald now tells Toni to intercept the uncounted ballot papers and swap them with their own. Toni tells a ballot van making multiple stops to transfer papers to other vehicles, a tactic meant to prevent tampering. At each stop, Toni eliminates the workers, grabs the papers, and makes sure the voters will go the Leone way. With Donald's dirty work done, Toni steps back from politics and takes on jobs from other players in Liberty City, starting with Ned Burner, a reporter for the Liberty Tree. When Toni meets him at the cathedral, Ned is posing as Father Ned, the local reverend. He tells Toni that to redeem himself, he must stop the release of fake doping reports about America's top sports stars. Toni's first task is to steal an FBI cruiser to meet Ned's informant. A crime scene in Newport. Toni nabs the cruiser and drives to the rendezvous point. The informant climbs in, expecting to see John O, but Toni tells him John O couldn't make it. Moments later, the real John O arrives, and the suspicious informant bolts. Toni chases him down, kills him, and recovers the documents, delivering them to a garage behind the Liberty City Tree HQ in Bedford. Not long after, a radio report airs about the doping scandal. Soon after, Toni returns to the church. Ned claims Toni must redeem himself again, this time by retrieving stolen jewels so they can be returned. Toni drives to the Rockford Ferry terminal and is ambushed by a gang armed with AK-47s, backed up by a helicopter. Toni shoots down the chopper, wipes out the gang, and recovers the briefcase. He drops it at the same Liberty City Tree garage, only for a radio report to announce a diamond heist in Rockford, a bloody shout-out, and missing jewels.
Me, Father, for I have sinned. Toni, my son, compared to the degenerates in this town, you're a saint. Their cars pump the devil's bum gas into our children's lungs. They are defiling Eden. Go and show these sinners the error of their ways.
Next job is pure chaos. Toni steals a fire truck from a Belleville Park fire station and goes on a rampage, torching vehicles and mowing down pedestrians until enough havoc has been caused. Once the destruction is complete, he destroys the fire truck. News soon breaks about the mysterious fire truck rampage on Staten Island. For his final task, Ned targets 3 celebrities. One of them, an unnamed female star, agrees to do a radio interview instead of giving an exclusive to a hardworking journalist. Toni's mission, eliminate all 3 before they reach the LCFR building. Toni takes everyone out and returns to the cathedral, only to watch Ned Burner drop the act. He runs out of the church, thanking Toni for unknowingly helping him secure exclusive sensational news for the Liberty Tree.
I've done what you asked, Father.
Great, the paper circulation has tripled since you found your soul.
What?
Thanks again for all your help, Tony.
Hey, what the fuck? Who are you?
With his business with Ned Burner wrapped up, Tony turns his attention back to Salvatore. He meets the Don at a jetty in Rockford, where Salvatore is already waiting for him in a speeder boat. They head out to the water towards the mayor's assistant. Salvatore forces the man into his boat, but the move doesn't go unnoticed. The mayor's Secret Service detail has been watching. As Salvatore speeds away, Tony lays down M4 fire pursuing boats, cutting down the agents one by one. Once the threat is gone, the mayor assistant spills what he knows. The Sicilian Mafia has been pulling the strings from the shadows, controlling Franco Farelli and the Farelli crime family, and stroking a mob war between the families to weaken them. Their endgame, take Liberty City for themselves. Salvatore drops Tony off near a Callahan Bridge before heading out to dispose of the mayor's assistant.
Tony, I'll call you later. Right now, I'm gonna flush this turd into the bay.
The next phase of their partnership is a little more low profile. Tony answers a public payphone in Torrington, where Salvatore explains that while spying on the Farellis in Fort Staunton, he got caught in the middle of a firefight between the Farellis and the Sindaccos. By Salvatore's instructions, Tony heads to a multi-story park in Newport to collect a bulletproof limousine. Then he drives into the chaos of Fort Staunton. Exiting the limo, he cuts down waves of Farelli gunmen before finding Salvatore and escorting him out. Fighting their way past more attackers, Tony drives the limo safely back into the Newport safe house. Their quiet work continues with another call, this time from a payphone on Liberty campus. Salvatore tells Tony there's a van parked in the Rockford Hospital and to call him once he finds it. When Tony checks it out, Salvatore reveals a plan. Paulie Sindacco is meeting with Farelli leaders to negotiate a truce, but the Leones need that meeting to fail. Salvatore's men have already modified Paulie's car, giving Tony remote control. Paulie leaves the Big Shot Casino in Torrington, but before he can reach the meeting, Tony takes over the car and plows through the Farelli gang members, running down everyone in sight. The bloody scene ensures a truce never happens. Paulie flees on foot as one of the Farelli's car explodes in the chaos. Still working for Salvatore, Tony answers another public phone. Salvatore explains that a wise guy has discovered the Sicilian Mafia's role in fueling the war between the Farelli and the Sindacco families, and he's on his way to tell Franco Farelli. If the truth gets out, the war ends, and the Leones lose their advantage. Tony's job is simple. Stop him. Tony heads into a jetty in Bedford Point, hops into a speeder boat, and takes off in pursuit. Racing across the water, he opens fire until the wise guy's boat explodes into flames. With that handled, Tony begins working with Leon McAfee, a corrupt cop with his own twisted sense of loyalty. Leon tosses Tony an M4 and drives off, telling him to adapt and survive. Tony miles down waves of Sindacco gunmen before McAfee swings back to pick him up. With the enemy hot on their trail, the chase escalates as Sindaccos give pursuit on motorcycles, in trucks, and even from a helicopter. Tony picks them off one by one until McAfee decides that he is too much and bails, leaving Tony stranded at the Staunton lift bridge. Later, Tony meets Leon again. This time, McAfee owes the Uptown Yardies a favor and wants to pay it back. The Yardies are moving to take control over territory, and Tony's job is to lure 4 Farelli soldiers into an ambush. Tony swipes a Farelli motorcycle from City Hall and rides it back to the hospital in Rockford, where the Yardies are waiting. The trap is sprung, and together they wipe out the Farelli crew. On their next job, McAfee brings Tony face to face with another crooked cop, Ray Machowski.
I don't know what I did wrong in my past life to deserve you. Ray, you're 40 years old and you have no idea what's really going on. I don't know how you've gotten this far. I don't know how somebody hasn't put a bullet in your Mother Teresa head yet.
Hey, watch your mouth, Leon. I can't believe we're having this fucking conversation.
What, are you gonna run to mommy? Are you gonna jump on daddy's knee? Ask for a wet kiss? Hey, Tony!
Freeze!
Whoa, whoa! Easy. Meet my new partner, Mr. Hip. He's gonna make sure I do everything by the book. Toni Cipriani, Ray Machowski. He's with us. Hey, we're gonna go fight organized crime now. You run along to the precinct, fill out a report. You're a good kid. Let's go, Tony.
Piece of shit, Leon.
After the meeting, Leon and Tony head out to fight organized crime. Their first stop is Belleville Park, where Leon gives Tony a katana and tells him to make a statement. Tony slices his way through the Forelli mobsters, sending a clear message across Staunton. On their next job, Leon meets Tony with bad news. The Uptown Yarders are under siege in Newport by the Sindaccos. Tony heads up to an alley behind ammunition where the firefight is already raging. When Rudy Yard, one of the Yardie leaders, takes a bullet, another Yardie peels off to get an ambulance while Tony covers the retreat. Together, they cut down the Sindacco attackers and make it out alive, with Rudy Yard rushed to the Carson General Hospital. Leon's final task comes soon after. The Forellis have been stockpiling weapons and are planning a major move into Fort Staunton. Tony intercepts the shipments, taking out the trucks and wiping out the weapons cache before it even reaches its destination. Job done until the phone rings. It's Donald Love, and he's in full panic mode.
It's Donald. I have a rather pressing matter that requires your particular skills. Please call me at my office as soon as you can.
Donald tells Tony that damaging evidence is being held at the Staunton Docklands by O'Donovan's men. Tony storms the complex, guns down the guards, and takes the evidence van back to Donald's garage. But before the dust settles, the election results come in, and things are about to shift in Liberty City.
Hey, Don. Took care of that mess for you. Everything should be cool now.
Really?
You got no more links to organized crime. You're whiter than white. You could be the Pope.
The Pope. Watch this.
Although no links can be proved between Donald Love and Liberty City's organized crime, it seems his friendship with mobsters, including Toni Cipriani, have counted heavily against him in voters' eyes. The past few hours have seen his popularity plummet. He is deemed, it seems, unfit for office.
Unfit? Because of you. Yeah, and it's all your fault.
My fault?
Oh, yeah.
My fault.
I can't believe the sacrifices I've made for this town. And do you know what my weakness has been the entire time? Humility. And now I'm ruined, bankrupt. $20 million in the hole. Gone. Bankrupt. Done. Arrivederci. Bankrupt!
The next call comes from McCaffrey, but it's not friendly. Salvatore's been arrested, and Leon's looking out for himself, cut ties completely, telling Tony never contact him again. Tony suits up and drives to Shoreside Vale Prison to visit Salvatore. Behind bars, Salvatore is furious and hell-bent on revenge against both the Forellis and the Sindaccos, unsure which one ratted him out. He suggests Tony use the Southside Hoods to hit the Forellis where it hurts. Tony rounds up a crew from the Washita Gardens and tears through 3 Forelli strongholds, wrecking their cars to draw them out before mowing down wave after wave of gunmen. Still fuming, Salvatore gives his next order: take out Don Paulie Sindacco before he skips town. Tony tracks Paulie to the docks, where Paulie tries to escape by boat. His goons open fire, but Tony returns the favor, gunning them down and ending Paulie's reign, and with it, the Sindacco Crime Family. From prison, Salvatore keeps the orders coming. The Triads and Diablos are tightening their grip on Portland. Miles O'Donovan refuses to grant him bail, and the Yakuza are gearing up to make their move on Liberty City. Salvatore sends Tony after their weapon stash. Tony storms the compound, wipes out the Yakuza guard, and hijacks a rhino tank and drives it straight into scrap. Over in Shoreside Vale, Tony finds a familiar face: Donald Love, now bankrupt and desperate, and Donald Love's got a wild plan that puts him squarely against his former mentor.
I know what you're thinking, Tony. How the mighty have fallen. But this is just a temporary blip, my man.
Okay.
Oh, don't be all touchy. I know I said some nasty things about this being your fault and all, but hubris is a nasty, nasty bedfellow. Almost as nasty as termites. And trust me, I've tried both recently. Wait. You and me are on our way back.
I never went away.
We're in this together, amigo.
No, we're not.
Please.
Please? Please? Forget about it, buddy. It's all your fault? Pathetic.
10%.
10% of what? This? Oh, you're too kind.
Not of this. Of something really big. Come. I'll tell you about it on the drive. I hope you have your car. Mine's in the, shop. Yeah.
Tony and Donald make their way to the airport just in time to see Avery Carrington arrive, but he's not alone. The Colombian cartel is acting as an escort. It doesn't matter. Tony cuts Avery down while dodging cartel gunfire, then snatches Avery's plans before heading back to Pike Creek Flophouse with Donald in tow. Later, Tony returns to find Donald riding high, but there's a problem. A reporter saw them kill Avery and snap photos. The trail leads to the church in Bedford Point, where Tony comes face to face with Ned Burner, the same con artist who posed as a reverend and fed him work. Tony's threats get Ned to play nice. Ned agrees to take him to his lockup at the Liberty Tree building to retrieve the photos, but it's a setup. Ned blinds him with a camera flash and speeds off in a car. The chase doesn't last long. Tony runs him down and makes sure Ned won't be publishing anything ever again. Back at the Flophouse, Donald is positively glowing. He wants to celebrate, and his guest list is unconventional.
I'm back! Back from the dead, Tony, risen in you like a phoenix from the ashes. Like Lazarus. Yes, Lazarus love. I'm gonna be rich again! Panlantic are gonna pay me a fortune to see the deal through. We did it, Tony!
Whatever.
It's time for a little soiree with a very exclusive guest list. Come on.
Tony reluctantly joins him, driving him to collect the corpses of Avery Carrington and Ned Burner, then delivering them to the airport where Donald indulges in his twisted little feast. Disgusted, Tony steps away from Donald's antics and shifts his attention to a new player in town, the Yakuza. Tony's introduced to Toshiko Kasin, the wife of Yakuza leader Kazuki Kasin, her first job since Tony to a dock in Bedford Point, where he guns down Yakuza guards protecting a weapons shipment. He steals a speeder boat and navigates it to a dock in Rockford, dodging enemy boats along the way. The disruption rattles Kazuki, and Toshiko wants to press the advantage. She tasks Tony with destroying cash being moved from Kazuki's casino into his compound. Tony grits his teeth. It's hard to burn money you could spend, but follows through. Kazuki growls suspicious. Toshiko decides they need to make their relationship public to stir the pot. She sends Tony to pick her up for a night at the opera. After a quick pit stop at Mr. Ben's for a tux, the pair arrive at Fort Staunton's Opera House. They enjoy the show, but they're spotted by a Forelli mobster. When the curtains close, a hit squad is waiting. Tony cuts them down and races Toshiko back at her apartment, but a Yakuza spy sees them and speeds off to spread the news. Toshiko knows time is running out.
Hello?
I'm bathing, Tony-san. We have little time left. My husband knows now who is truly behind his losses. He's coming to kill me. And you.
Well, I ain't waiting here for him. Where is he?
He's in Belleville, gathering his men. But soon, he will come here.
Well, sayonara, sweetheart.
My prayers go with you, Tony-san. Good luck.
Tony decides it's time to end Kazuki Kasin before the Yakuza leader can make his next move. He storms a compound in Belleville Park where waves of Yakuza soldiers pour out, some on foot others in a sleek Yakuza Stingers. Toni fights his way through the ambush, but Kazuki slips away in a helicopter, heading for his casino in Torrington. Toni follows, cutting down the guards posted outside before storming the roof. There, Kazuki challenges him to a duel, a sword against sword duel. Toni proves to be the better fighter, but Kazuki refuses to honor defeat, calling in gun-toting bodyguards to finish the job. It doesn't matter. Toni kills them all, ending Kazuki's reign. When he returns to Toshiko's apartment, he finds her grief-stricken, realizing the chaos she's unleashed has cost her everything.
Toshiko, it's over now.
Yes. Yes, I knew that. Hello, Mr. Toni.
Hey, so, you won. You got what you wanted. Everything worked out great.
Great. Yes, great. Really great.
So it's, payment time, sweetheart.
We're both of us fools and killers, Mr. Toni.
I guess we are.
The world takes such a terrible toll on your spirit. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Toni?
I guess. But, you're free now. I mean, you can, go to, Costa Rica or Aruba or some shit. Start over new, that's what you always wanted.
I don't think I'm ready for a beach holiday, Mr. Toni. I've lost everything, and I have done so deliberately. I've been granted everything I asked for. Now, I just ask to be truly free. Goodbye, Toni-san.
With the Yakuza business now behind him, Toni turns to 8-Ball for a more explosive job. At 8-Ball's Autos in Pike Creek, he hands over $20,000 for the gear to clear up part of Fort Staunton. 8-Ball says he needs some time, but when Toni returns, the explosives are ready. Donald Love calls mid-meeting, pointing Toni towards the weak points beneath Fort Staunton, the new Porter Tunnel development at the old subway lines. Toni carefully drives the explosive laden van into the tunnels while dodging Forelli goons. He plants the charges at key structural points, eliminates any witnesses, and escapes just in time to watch Fort Staunton erupt into rubble.
Taskmaster has begun to bore me.
After the dust settles, Toni visits Donald Love at Cedar Grove Mansion. He finds Donald Love mid-meditation, but the calm doesn't last. The Colombian cartel is on their way, demanding silence and payoff. Toni grabs a gun, fighting waves of cartel cruisers before driving Donald into Francis International Airport. Donald makes his exit, promising nothing, and leaving Toni to deal with the mess he's left behind.
I do so hate goodbyes, my friend. Let's just say adieu.
D, it's been an education.
After Donald Love's departure, Toni gets a call from Salvatore. It's time to tie up every loose end. At the police station, Toni learns Salvatore's heading to court, and the Cillian Mafia won't let him get there alive. Toni tails Salvatore's car, fending off waves of Cillian hitmen against all odds. They make it to the courthouse in Belleville Park. Salvatore is found not guilty and walks free, heading back to St. Mark's. When Toni arrives, Salvatore is in talks with the Cillians. They want peace, and Salvatore agrees, but only on his terms. The first step, a visit to Mayor Miles O'Donovan to ensure those charges stay dropped. But at City Hall, the plan falls apart fast. The mayor has already been kidnapped by Massimino Torini's crew. At a jetty in Newport, Toni speeds off with O'Donovan in tow. Toni and Salvatore give chase in a boat, mowing down enemy vessels and helicopters with a minigun. The pursuit leads to Portland Rock, where Torini drags the mayor towards the lighthouse. Fighting their way up the rocky slope, Toni finally corners him. Torini claims the chaos was nothing personal, but Toni isn't buying it. Torini tries to escape in a helicopter, only for Toni to blast it out of the sky. Back at St. Mark's, the mayor realizes exactly whose pocket he's in now. The final meeting takes place at Mama's restaurant, where Salvatore's uncle seals peace between the Leones and the Silicans. Salvatore thanks Toni for everything and pays him only half of the promised $1 million because, in Sal's words, you can't put a price on friendship. And just like that, Liberty City Stories comes to a close, leaving Toni cemented as Salvatore Leone's right-hand man.
Hey, Uncle. How you doing, huh? You look good.
Ah, Salvatore. All we really wanted was clarity.
Yes, Uncle. I appreciate that.
So, we are at peace now. You and the old country.
Of course. Me and all my people.
Good. Very good.
Sneaky little bastard. I wouldn't trust him a fucking inch.
Every dog has his day.
Yeah, but we did it.
Yeah, we cleaned up. You did good, Toni. You did real good. I always knew you was a good kid. You saved my ass a few times, and I appreciate that kind of loyalty.
Thank you.
A good worker? I like that. Respectful. So I got you that $500,000 I promised.
Half? Ooh, I thought you, said a couple.
I said $1 million. For what? You can put a price on friendship? The kind of friendship you and me have? Shame on you. Come here. You're a good kid. But shame on you.
When it comes to Liberty City Stories, the game doesn't just serve as a prequel. It expands GTA 3's world in ways that makes the city feel alive and connected. It fills gaps you didn't even know needed filling. Take the Sindacco Crime Family, for example. In San Andreas, they're a big name in the Vegas heist missions, but by GTA 3, they vanish without explanation. Liberty City Stories finally shows us why, charting their downfall from a major player to nothing more than a footnote. We also witnessed the birth of the Yakuza's presence in Liberty City through Toshiko Kasin's betrayal of her husband Kazuki. This isn't just side content, it's the bridge between eras. Kazuki's death hands the reins to his siblings Asuka and Kenji, setting the stage for the Yakuza we meet in GTA 3. But in true Rockstar fashion, for every hole the game fills, another is created. San Andreas' intro has CJ walking past Luigi's Sex Club 7 in 1992, which shouldn't even exist yet. Here we see JD running it for the Sindaccos in 1998, contradicting that moment entirely. Most likely, it's a developer oversight, but one that lore fans can't help but notice. At its core, Liberty City Stories is the rise and fall and rebirth of Toni Cipriani, from exile to made man. We watch him dismantle the Sindaccos and witness Liberty City's slow slide into the fractured, chaotic state we enter in GTA 3. It's a slow burn about power, loyalty, and the ugly underbelly of a city in flux. Everyone's crawling for control. The Leones, the Sindaccos, the Forellis, all willing to burn the place to the ground for a bigger slice. And every alliance feels temporary. Every handshake feels like it's hiding a knife behind the back. The political side is just as rotten. From Mayor Ho's incompetence to Donald Love's backroom deals, we see how the system isn't broken, it's working exactly as intended for the people in power. The city itself becomes a living, breathing backdrop in decay. Strikes shut down services, drugs flow freely, neighborhoods rot or get redeveloped with dirty money, and the media turns paranoia into profit. Liberty City in 1998 feels alive, but it's the kind of alive where the heartbeat is faint and the sickness is spreading. For Toni, this is personal. Every choice forces him to weigh loyalty against survival, shaping the instincts we see again in GTA 3. That's why Liberty City Stories works so well as a prequel. It doesn't just drop Easter eggs for fans, it fills in the blanks. We get the origin stories, the political shifts, and how the slow collapse of criminal empires affects the city. By the end, you realize what happens here sets the stage for everything when Claude steps off that prison bus 3 years later. And while the game's themes hold up, not everything has aged perfectly. The missions for Donald Love, for example, hit very different today than they did in 2005. Their tone and subtext feel far more loaded in the modern climate. We'll dig into that more in the character analysis section, because Love's role in Liberty City Stories is as fascinating as it is uncomfortable in hindsight. Now let's get into the character analysis, starting with the made man himself, Toni Cipriani. Toni's return to Liberty City and Liberty City Stories is far more than just a comeback. It's a calculated climb back to power. After 4 years of hiding for killing a made man, Toni steps into a city that has been reshaped by shifting alliances and mob politics. His initial goal is simple: prove himself to Salvatore Leone and reclaim his position in the family. But over the course of the game, we watch him take on work that slowly cements him as one of the Leone family's most important players, setting the stage for the version of Liberty City we walk into in GTA 3. Throughout the story, Toni's influence spreads through decisive and often ruthless actions. The Sindacco Crime Family, erased. The Forellis, systematically weakened until they are a fraction of their former selves. Even the Yakuza power shift from Kazuki Kassim to his siblings Asuka and Kenji happens in the wake of Toni's involvement. Every mission he takes, whether it's dismantling rival gangs or manipulating political outcomes, shapes the balance of power in the city. He's not just running errands, he's actively rewriting Liberty City's criminal map. But Toni's rise comes with constant tension. Salvatore's paranoia, Donald Love's unpredictable schemes, and his mother's relentless disapproval force him to navigate a minefield of loyalty and self-preservation. Every handshake hides potential betrayal, and every alliance is one step away from collapse. By the time he's finally made, it's not the glamorous reward of a fairy mob tale. It's a product of hard, dirty work and decisions that leave permanent scars. Toni's story in Liberty City Stories doesn't just explain his role in GTA 3. It proves that without him, the Leones wouldn't hold the power they do when Claude rolls into town.
Toni, my boy, today's the day you're being made.
Oh, Salvatore, I Mr. Leone. Our mama's been waiting for this day.
Massimo Torrini enters Liberty City Stories as the face of the Sicilian Mafia's grand plan, a man who sells the illusion of unity while quietly orchestrating chaos. On paper, he's there to mediate peace between Liberty City's crime families, but in reality, he's pitting them against each other to weaken their power. By playing the Leones, Forellis, and the Sindaccos off one another, Torrini hopes to swoop in and claim the city for the Silicans, all while maintaining the polished image of a peacemaker. It's manipulation at its finest, and it puts him in direct opposition to Toni and Salvatore from the very start. Torrini's strategy is bigger than just the mob. He reaches out to the street gangs like the Triads and Diablos, securing their support to tighten the Silicans' grip. It's a smart play, expanding his influence beyond traditional mafia territory, but it also exposes the scale of his ambition. He's not just trying to win a turf war. He's trying to control every moving piece in Liberty City's criminal ecosystem. This makes him one of the few antagonists in the series whose threat level extends across both organized crime and street-level gangs, making his removal a necessity for the Leone's survival. In the end, Cipriani overplays his hand by targeting the city's political power directly. Kidnapping Mayor O'Donovan is meant to be his checkmate move, but it gives Salvatore and Toni the perfect reason to hit back hard. The final showdown at Portland Rock strips away the pretense. No diplomacy, no backroom deals, just a fight to the death. Cipriani's defeat isn't just the end of the Sicilian Mafia's takeover attempt. It's the moment Liberty City's criminal power structure snaps back into place, with the Leones firmly at the top. His arc reinforces the game's biggest themes in Liberty City. Playing all sides eventually means every side will turn against you.
Torini, it figures. Give him up. The mayor is mine. This city is mine.
Salvatore. Sicily never wanted questo schifo di città. But when tributes dried up, what could we do? It was nothing personal.
Nothing personal? After what you put me through, I'm gonna tear your fucking heart out.
Salvatore Leone stands at the center of Liberty City stories as both a commanding presence and a calculating survivor. As the dawn of the Leone crime family, his mission is straightforward: crush the Forellis and Sindaccos, cement Leone's dominance, and keep the city's underworld under his control. But Salvatore's brand of leadership isn't just about brute force. It's about knowing when to pull the strings and when to let someone else get their hands dirty. Toni becomes that someone else, acting as Salvatore's right-hand man through every ambush, hit, and political play, turning the Leone boss's vision into a reality. Salvatore's strength lies in his ability to adapt to a constantly shifting power landscape. Even after dismantling two rival families, he's immediately faced with new threats. Gangs like the Triads, Diablos, and the Yakuza moving in, plus a mayor who's more of a problem than a partner. Where other mob bosses might fold under the pressure, Salvatore keeps pushing forward, using a mix of intimidation, negotiation, and raw violence to keep the Leone name at the top. His survival through all of this isn't just luck. It's a testament to his ability to navigate Liberty City's dangerous political and criminal ecosystem. By the game's end, Salvatore emerges not just as a survivor, but as the last man standing in a war that could have swallowed the Leone family whole. His ability to maintain control, broker peace with the Silicans on his terms, and keep the mayor in his pocket show why he remains such a dominant force when we see him again in GTA 3. Salvatore isn't just another mob boss in the GTA universe. He's a blueprint of how to stay on top in a city where every handshake might hide a knife. In the Liberty City stories, we see exactly why his reign lasts as long as it does.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, we just saved you from a bunch of crazed Sicilians.
Yeah, thanks.
And that means?
The city is, grateful to you.
Ow!
Try again.
That you work for me, right?
Oh, yeah, that I work for you.
Good. Now don't call us, we'll call you. Get out of here, prick.
Thank you, Mr. Leone.
Toni, we did it. We run things now, you and me. We're a team, huh? Now I just need you to do one small thing for me. I got some problems that I've been dealing with.
Vincenzo Celi enters Liberty City stories as the perfect example of what happens when ambition outweighs respect. While Toni's been in hiding, Vincenzo's been climbing the ranks of the Leone crime family, carving out a position of influence in Toni's absence. When Toni returns, Salvatore places him under Vincenzo's supervision, a move that instantly creates tension. Rather than welcoming Toni back as an ally, Vincenzo threatens him like an errand boy, using every opportunity to belittle him and make his life miserable. It's less about the work and more about keeping Toni in his place. The dynamic between these two serves an important purpose in the story. It puts Toni in a position where he has to re-earn his standing in the family, while also showing how the Leone crime family isn't immune to petty power plays within his own ranks. Vincenzo's arrogance blinds him to the fact that Toni's loyalty to Salvatore and his own street smarts make him a far more valuable asset. Instead of seeing Toni as a potential ally, Vincenzo sees him as a threat, and that paranoia is what seals his fate. When Vincenzo finally sets up a fake reconciliation designed to have Toni killed is the last straw. Toni turns the tables, killing Vincenzo and eliminating one more internal obstacle in his rise back to prominence. In the grand scheme of Liberty City stories, Vincenzo isn't remembered for his leadership or his accomplishments. He's remembered as the cautionary tale of ambitious underbosses who underestimate the wrong man. His death clears the path for Toni's return to form, cementing the idea that Liberty City disrespect can be just as deadly as a bullet.
Sure, Mama. I'll call you later. Yeah.
Vincenzo.
Yeah, of course. Oh, of course. I'm being a good boy. Love you. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, sweetheart. Give it a rest now. Here, now get out of here. A little trompetto for you. Hey, who loves you, Angel?
You do, Vinny.
Is that your mother on the phone?
Sure.
You're disgusting. Where's your respect?
Respect? I call it multitasking, Antonio. What? Don't you like getting a hot bra to suck you off?
What?
Because if it's a problem, I can get Ray to help you out.
Fuck you.
I'm just busting your balls. Relax. Listen, tough guy, I need you to do me a favor. I got girls crazy for blow. I got a car full of it parked in Trenton. Go pick it up, give me a call.
What am I, your driver? Screw you.
No, listen. I do it myself, but I'm being watched by the feds. You know I'll look out for you. Trust me. Besides, remember, there's a hierarchy here, capiche? Now be a good kid.
J.D. O'Toole is a kind of character that reminds you just how cutthroat Liberty City's underworld really is. Running Paulie's bar for the Sindaccos, J.D. has one foot in the business and the other constantly looking for safer ground. When he secretly flips to the Leone crime family, it's not out of loyalty, it's out of survival. By leaking inside information to Toni, J.D. proves to be a useful asset in dismantling Sindacco operations, feeding the Leones exactly what they need to stay above in the turf war. For a while, it looks like J.D.'s gamble might actually pay off. But J.D.'s biggest flaw is that he mistakes usefulness for protection. In the mob world, loyalty is currency, and his path with the Sindaccos leaves him in a permanent state of suspicion. While Toni sees the value in JD's intel, Salvatore sees him from what he truly is, a turncoat who's just as likely to betray the Leones if the wind shifts. JD's behavior throughout the game, from his nervous energy to his constant need for reassurance, reinforces that he's not cut from the same cloth as the real players in Liberty City. That moment comes to head in one of the game's most cold-blooded moments. Salvatore strings JD along with the promise of making him a made man, a coveted symbol of trust and respect in the mafia. But the ceremony is nothing more than an execution in disguise. In a brutal few seconds, JD climbs up the criminal ladder and ends in a pool of blood, serving as a harsh reminder: in this world, your past sins will always catch up to you, and changing sides doesn't mean you've changed your fate.
It's all happening today. I'm gonna be a made man. Me!
JD the Untouchable. God help us all.
I've waited a long time for this. Never would have happened without you, Toni.
Hey, I'm crying over here. Come on.
Hey, Mickey, how you doing?
Ceremonies in Howard.
Mrs. Cipriani is one of the most unique forces in Liberty City stories because her role isn't about gangland politics or criminal power plays. It's about shaping Toni on a deeply personal level. From the moment we meet her, Mom makes it clear that nothing Toni does will ever truly measure up. She constantly compares him to his late father or other men in the neighborhood, creating this undercurrent of insecurity that follows Toni throughout the entire game. Even though Toni is a capo for the Leone family, in her eyes, he's still just a disappointing son. What makes Ma's presence so impactful is she's indirectly tied to some of the game's most chaotic moments without ever fully realizing it. Her stubbornness and pride lead to situations like the deaths of Giovanni Casa and Dan Succio, and at one point she even goes as far as putting a hit out on Toni himself. The fact that she can order his death over personal grievances and then actually call it off when he becomes a made man says everything about how respect and status work in her world. Family love, at least in Ma's case, is conditional. In the bigger picture, Mrs. Cipriani serves as a human reminder of why Toni pushes so hard to climb the ranks. Every risk he takes, every rival he crushes, isn't just about surviving the streets. It's about earning the one thing Ma never freely gave him: approval. By the end, she finally acknowledged his maid status. It's not exactly a heartfelt resolution, but it does complete Toni's personal arc. In a city where everyone's chasing power, Ma proves sometimes the toughest person to win over isn't your enemies. It's your own mother.
Toni Cipriani here.
Toni, it's your Ma. I just heard you've been made. I never doubted you for a second, son. And seeing as how you finally proven yourself, I'm cooling off that contract they put on you. Let's just put it behind us. After all, I only did it with your best interests at heart. What kind of a son makes his ma go to such lengths? See you soon, son. Don't forget about your old ma.
Maria Latour is chaos wrapped in designer clothes, the kind of person who can walk into a room and immediately turn into a headache for everyone around her. As Salvatore Leone's wife, she is technically connected to one of the most powerful men in Liberty City, but instead of wielding that influence responsibly, she treats it like a backstage pass to every bad decision imaginable. Her relationship with Toni starts off as a genuine friendship, but it quickly becomes clear that being around Maria means inheriting her problems, whether it's drug habits, reckless spending, or getting tangled up with questionable characters. Her marriage to Salvatore is less about love and more about mutual convenience, or in Maria's case, mutual tolerance. The two can't share a room without hurling insults, yet neither completely cuts the other loose. For Salvatore, Maria is an unpredictable liability, while for Maria, Salvatore's money and status are the real draw. The drug use and impulsive behavior only worsen the situation, putting her in dangerous positions that Toni often has to clean up. She's not malicious, but she is self-destructive. And in Liberty City, that's almost as dangerous. In the larger story, Maria serves as a reminder of how personal lives get chewed up in the orbit of organized crime. She's not a mobster, yet she faces the same dangers because of who she's tied to. And because of her own inability to stay out of trouble, her presence also humanizes Salvatore in a strange way, showing that even a powerful Don can control everything in his life. For Toni, Maria is both a friend and a walking cautionary tale. In Liberty City, sometimes the biggest threats to your safety aren't your enemies. They're the people you care about.
What kind of driver are you? That took ages. I could have OD'd. I'm a mess. I'm gonna need a new wardrobe, a little nip and tuck the works. Honey, have you got some money?
Not really.
Well, what the hell have you been coming on to me for? I'm Salvatore's girl. He's loaded. Don't you ever hit on me again.
Donald Love is one of Liberty City's most fascinating chameleons, a man who can shift from polished businessmen to gutter-level opportunists without missing a beat. In Liberty City stories, we catch him in his traditional phase, ambitious, hungry, and running for mayor after the death of Mayor Roger C. Hoyle. Love's political aspirations quickly crumble thanks to his connection with Toni and the inevitable paper trail that links him to organized crime. By the time the dust settles, he's not sitting in City Hall. He's holed up in a flop house in Shoreside Vale, broke and scheming his way back to the top. What makes Love interesting is how his story feeds into his schemes. He was once the protege of Avery Carrington, the sharp-tongued real estate mogul from Vice City, and he clearly learned all the wrong lessons. Where Avery was ruthless in his business world, Donald takes that ruthlessness and filters it through Liberty City's political and criminal networks. When he has Avery Carrington murdered for his development plans, it's less about revenge and more about tying up loose ends on his path back to wealth. And when he finally leaves Liberty City with 2 corpses in tow, Carrington's and Ned Burner's, it's a grim, almost surreal image of just how far he's willing to go. By GTA 3, Love is at full form, a wealthy, eccentric media magnate and a real estate mogul, often viewed as Rockstar's satirical stand-in for Donald Trump during the early 2000s. The shift from the desperate, dirt-smug Love we see in Liberty City Stories to the confident power broker GTA 3 shows just how effectively he can reinvent himself when opportunity knocks. But underneath the polish, nothing has changed. Donald Love is still the same opportunist, still willing to exploit death, chaos, and political corruption if it means padding his bank account. In the world of GTA, he's proof that survival isn't about morals. It's about adaptability.
Back from the dead, Tony, risen in you like a phoenix from the ashes, like Lazarus. Yes, Lazarus Love. I'm gonna be rich again. Panlantic are gonna pay me a fortune to see the deal through. We did it, Tony.
Whatever.
It's time for a little soiree with a very exclusive guest list. Come on.
Leon McCoffey is one of those cops who's less about upholding the law and more about exploiting it for personal gain. By 98, he's already neck deep in dirty deals, bribes, and backroom arrangements that make him just as dangerous as the mobsters he's supposed to be locking up. His introduction in Liberty City Stories shows him playing both sides of the fence, using his badge as leverage to orchestrate hits, arm certain gangs, and tilt the balance of the city's underworld in whichever direction benefits him the most. For McCoffey, crime isn't something to stop. It's a resource to be mined. In the early stages of the story, McCoffey is instrumental in helping Tony establish the Leone family's dominance in the ongoing mob war. He sends Tony after the Sindacco, orchestrates the alliance between the Leones and the Uptown Yardies, and orders strikes against the Farrelly crime family supply lines. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. Tony gets the muscle and cover he needs to operate in Staten Island, while McCoffey pads his wallet and cements his influence over the criminal landscape. But Leon's loyalty only runs as deep as his own self-interest, and the moment Salvatore Leone is arrested, he burns the bridge without hesitation, phoning Tony to declare they never met. McCoffey's story doesn't end in Liberty City Stories. In GTA 3, we see the long tail of his corruption finally catching up with him. McCaffrey's story doesn't end in Liberty City Stories. In GTA 3, we see the long tail of his corruption finally catching up with him. Partnered with Ray Machowski, McCaffrey continues his crooked ways until the pressure to save his own skin pushes him into betraying Ray. This decision seals his fate as Machowski hires Claude to take him out. Even then, McCaffrey survives the first attempt, only to be finished in a hospital. His trajectory across both games is a cautionary tale of a man who thought his badge made him untouchable, until it didn't.
I don't know what I did wrong in my past life to deserve you. Ray, you're 40 years old and you have no idea what's really going on. I don't know how you've gotten this far. I don't know how somebody hasn't put a bullet in your Mother Teresa head yet.
Hey, watch your mouth, Leon. I can't believe we're having this fucking conversation.
What, are you gonna run to mommy? Are you gonna jump on daddy's knee? Ask for a wet kiss? Hey, Tony!
Freeze!
Whoa, whoa! Easy. Meet my new partner, Mr. Hip. He's gonna make sure I do everything by the book. Toni Cipriani, Ray Machowski. He's with us. Hey, we're gonna go fight organized crime now. You run along to the precinct, fill out a report. You're a good kid. Let's go, Tony.
Piece of shit, Leon.
Ned Burner is the kind of reporter who doesn't just chase stories, he manufactures them. Operating under the guise of a reverend at the church in Staten Island, he ropes Tony into a series of jobs that conveniently provide him with front-page headlines for the Liberty Tree. For Ned, the truth isn't always as nearly as valuable as the spectacle, and if it means using a mobster to stir up chaos for a few sensational stories, so be it. He thrives in a more gray zone where journalism meets exploitation, and in Liberty City, that makes him just another player in the city's endless hustle. Brenda's arrogance becomes his downfall when he starts poking around in places far more dangerous than his fake clerical collar can protect him from. After witnessing Toni assassinate Avery Carrington, Ned becomes a liability, not just for Toni, but to Donald Love as well. In classic Liberty City fashion, it's not just a matter of if Ned will end up on the wrong side of a gun, but when. His final mistake comes when he tries to double-cross Toni over incriminating photos, attempting to blind him with a camera and escape on a scooter. The plan fails, and Ned ends up another casualty of the city's ruthless food chain, or Donald's food chain. But it's his exit from the story that really cements Ned Burner's place in GTA infamy. His corpse is later loaded into the plane alongside Avery Carrington's body, both of them serving as a grotesque victory feast for Donald Love. It's the perfect, if twisted, ending for a man who built his career on exploiting death and disaster. In Liberty City stories, Ned isn't just a side character. He's a reminder that in this city, even the so-called truth tellers are just hustlers with a different kind of product to sell. And they can end up just as chewed up by the system as everyone else.
I've done what you asked, Father. Great! The paper circulation has tripled since you found your soul. What? Thanks again for all your help, Tony. Hey, what the fuck? Who are you?
Toshiko Kasine is one of the Liberty City story's most layered and tragic figures. As the wife of Kazuki Kasine, the leader of the Yakuza, she lives a life of luxury and status. But it's one that feels hollow to her. In her own eyes, she's nothing more than a decorative accessory, a trophy wife paraded around to bolster Kazuki's image. That resentment festers into a quiet rebellion, and she turns to Toni Cipriani as both an ally and a weapon, using him to strike the very empire her husband controls. Her missions aren't just about damaging the Yakuza's power. They're deeply personal acts of vengeance. By sabotaging shipments, destroying assets, and humiliating Kazuki in public, Toshiko chips away at both his influence and his pride. It's a power play rooted in betrayal, and it creates one of the game's most compelling narrative arcs. When she finally has Toni to confront and kill Kazuki, it's less about business and more about reclaiming a sense of agency she's long been denied. But victory in Liberty City always comes at a cost. And for Toshiko, that cost is the weight of her own choices. After Kazuki's death, the mask slips and we see the human side of her vendetta. The guilt hits hard, stripping away at the confidence she's projected throughout her alliance with Toni. In the end, Toshiko chooses to end her life, farming it as the only way to be truly free. Her arc stands out because it's not a simple tale of revenge. It's someone trapped in a cage, willing to burn down everything around her just to escape, only to realize too late that freedom doesn't always follow destruction.
So, Toshiko, it's over now.
Yes. Yes, I knew that. Hello, Mr. Toni.
Hey, so, you won. You got what you wanted. Everything worked out great.
Great. Yes, great. Really great.
So it's, payment time, sweetheart.
We're both of us fools and killers, Mr. Toni.
I guess we are.
The world takes such a terrible toll on your spirit. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Toni?
I guess. But, you're free now. I mean, you can, go to, Costa Rica or Aruba, some shit. Start over new, that's what you always wanted.
I don't think I'm ready for a beach holiday, Mr. Toni. I've lost everything, and I have done so deliberately. I've been granted everything I asked for. Now, I just ask to be truly free. Goodbye, Tony-san.
When it comes to Liberty City Stories, the gameplay is classic Grand Theft Auto, but with a few twists and a couple of throwbacks. You're still gunning down enemies, jacking cars, completing missions, and getting wanted stars for causing mayhem. But this time, it's all been squeezed into the palm of your hand, and that alone was a technical achievement back in 2005. Liberty City itself is largely the same as we remember from GTA 3, but Rockstar didn't just copy and paste the map. They added some quality of life changes from later titles. For example, Liberty City Stories introduces motorcycles for the first time in Liberty City, which is a cool addition that adds some character variety. However, not everything made the jump from San Andreas. You can't swim, you can't climb, and any deep body of water is basically a death sentence, so don't expect CJ level mobility here. As expected, the mission structure follows the traditional GTA formula. You get calls, you go to markers on the map, and you run jobs for a rotating cast of criminals and psychopaths. There's still that nice blanch of shootouts, chases, and heists, although mission variety isn't as robust as later entries. Thankfully, Liberty City Stories makes up for that with the sheer number of things to do on the side. And I mean a lot. The game is packed with side activities, vigilante missions, taxi driving, racing, rampages, hidden packages, the works. You can complete odd jobs and rack up completion stats just like in the console versions. And if you need a break from solo chaos, the PSP version even featured a full-on multiplayer mode with up to 6 players in the same area via Wi-Fi. There were 7 different multiplayer modes in total, including Liberty City Survivor, which is a deathmatch mode, Protection Racket, and Street Rage. Sadly, none of this made it to the PS2 or mobile ports, which is a bit of a loss. Now let's talk about some of the cheat codes. And yes, they're here. You've got infinite ammo, health boosts, spawn vehicles, change weather, raise your wanted level. You know the drill. Rockstar made sure to load this one up with the usual arsenal of cheats. That said, a few fan favorite exploits like flying vehicles or riot mode aren't present here, but there's still some cool secrets, including hidden interiors and even a helicopter you're not supposed to be able to fly, if you know where to look. Like any classic GTA, Liberty City Stories rewards players who go off the beaten path. Whether you're hunting down hidden packages or grinding out side missions, there's a healthy dose of unlockables throughout Liberty City. From weapon spawns to vehicle rewards and even some hilarious and frustrating bugs. One of the most iconic unlockables is the Bulletproof Patriot, which you can earn by completing Salvatore's Portland Chainsaw Masquerade mission. There's also a rocket launcher spawn that unlocks near your safe house after hitting 20 rampages, and a rhino tank you can nab by completing the firefighter side missions. Plus, finishing the vigilante missions gets you the VCPD Enforcer, while EMS missions reward you with infinite sprint. You even get $1,000 per day in certain safe houses after completing specific real estate objectives. And then there are outfits. From the Leone suit to Avenging Angels gear to the Hitman and casual looks, each outfit unlocks as you progress deeper into the main storyline or complete certain missions. It's not the full customization we saw in San Andreas, but it still gives Tony some style options and a little more identity than GTA 3. Of course, with any PSP era, you've got your fair share of glitches, and Liberty City Stories is no exception. Some of these are funny, others are game-breaking. For example, you can make cars fly with a well-timed ramp exploit, phase through certain walls, or even get stuck in permanent falling animations if you approach certain terrain the wrong way. In one infamous case, players reported using the garbage truck to clip into buildings and bypass mission triggers entirely. Then there's the AI. NPCs occasionally forget how traffic works and slam head-on into walls, or worse, they just stand around doing absolutely nothing during timed missions. Police sometimes warp directly into your path during chases, and mission markers occasionally glitch out, forcing a restart. It's all part of that classic Rockstar jank that, while frustrating, somehow it adds to the charm. So yeah, if you're going for 100% completion, expect a few bumps along the way. But for those who enjoy the hunt, Liberty City Stories makes the ride worth it. Overall, Liberty City Stories offers a compact but satisfying GTA experience. It's not as feature-rich as Vice City or ambitious as San Andreas, but what it lacks in scale, it makes up for in focus. This was GTA on the go, and it delivered. Let's start where it all began, the PSP. GTA Liberty City Stories originally dropped on October 25th, 2005 in North America and a few weeks later in Europe. It was Rockstar's first big swing at bringing GTA, the 3D experience, into a handheld system, and for the first time, they nailed it. This version was built specifically for the PSP, not a downscale port or a stripped back cash grab. Rockstar developed a brand new in-house engine instead of using renderware to make sure they could squeeze every bit of graphical juice from the system. And while it's not the prettiest GTA game by today's standards, it pushed the PSP hard enough to feel impressive, especially when you consider how massive and detailed Liberty City still was on such a small screen. But it wasn't just the city that impressed. It was what Rockstar packed into it. The PSP version came loaded with full-on multiplayer suite, serving 7 different game modes via ad hoc Wi-Fi. You had everything from deathmatch-style chaos in Liberty City Survivor to objective-based modes like Protection Racket and Street Rage. Sadly, this mode was cut from every other port. So if you wanted to blast your friends across Portland, this was the only way you could do it. Another standout PSP exclusive was the Rockstar Custom Track System, which lets you import your own MP3s to use as in-game audio. It was a bit clunky to set up. You had to convert your file with the desktop tool, but it was worth it. Cruising through the streets of Liberty City while blasting your own playlists, that was something special. Of course, the PSP had its limits. The visuals were rough around the edges compared to later versions. Of course, the PSP had its limits. The visuals were rough around the edges compared to later versions. Loading times could still drag depending on the mission, and you were stuck with old school GTA rules. No swimming, no climbing, and plenty of instant death the second you hit deep water. But considering this was the first time we had a portable GTA in full 3D, it was a win. It was a bold step forward for open world handheld gaming. Now, the PS2 version dropped on June 6, 2006 for North American markets and June 23, 2006 for European markets. But this wasn't a full-on remaster or expansion. This was more like Rockstar bringing the same experience to the big screen, just without the bells and whistles. The PS2 version, positioned as a budget release, offered a significantly lower price point than the PSP original. For players who didn't own a handheld, this was their first shot at Toni Cipriani's story, and the transition to console wasn't without a few perks. Visually, the game looked better. Higher resolution, crispier textures, and slightly improved draw distance made Liberty City feel less claustrophobic. But in exchange for those upgrades, we lost a few things too. The entire multiplayer mode was removed, which meant no more death matches in Chinatown or chasing your friends through Portland. And Rockstar also dropped support for custom soundtracks, so unless you were down with the in-game radio stations, which weren't bad, you didn't have freedom to blast your own tracks. What's more, the PS2 version didn't include any new major content. No added missions, no new interiors, no extra weapons. It was still the same game under a new hood, just polished up for a different audience. And when compared to something like San Andreas, which came out 2 years earlier, Liberty City Stories on PS2 felt like a step backwards in terms of features. Everybody was so accustomed to what came prior. But at the end of the day, for a budget release, it wasn't trying to compete with San Andreas. It was trying to give PS2 players a taste of the PSP storylines. And for those who never played it on handheld, this version still delivered that classic GTA flavor. When Liberty City Stories dropped, Critics were quick to praise what Rockstar pulled off, bringing a full 3D Grand Theft Auto experience to handheld without sacrificing the series' core identity. According to Metacritic, the game received generally favorable reviews across both the PSP and PS2 platforms, with most outlets applauding the scope, voice acting, and sheer ambition packed into such a small device. The game earned a nod at the 9th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards, where it was nominated for Handheld Game of the Year. It ultimately lost to Nintendogs, which, let's be real, was everywhere in 2005. But the nomination alone showed that Liberty City Stories wasn't just a spinoff, it was a series contender. As for sales, Liberty City Stories was a beast. The PSP version sold 980,000 copies in the US alone by August 2006, pulling in about $48 million and securing a spot as the 16th best-selling handheld game in the country at the time. By February 2007, the PS2 port had moved over 1 million units in the United States, proving to be a stripped-down console version that still had legs. Globally, Take-Two reported that the game has sold a whopping 8 million copies by March 2008, and in the UK it earned some serious hardware. The PSP version was awarded double platinum by the ELSPA for moving over 600,000 copies, while the PS2 version hit platinum status with at least 300,000 sold. When it came to player feedback, Liberty City Stories found itself walking a tightrope between nostalgia and frustration. Many longtime fans praised it for feeling like a genuine GTA experience on the go, calling it a portable version of GTA 3 with just enough new flavor to stay on its own. Players enjoyed the tighter mission design and the variety of side jobs and Tony's character arc, which was seen as surprisingly compelling once the story found its rhythm. The atmosphere and immersion were also commonly praised. Players noted how the game nailed that signature GTA feel. Pedestrians talking, radio chatter filled the city streets, and voice acting that, while sometimes uneven, still managed to sell the gritty vibe of Liberty City. Some even called it one of the stronger soundtracks of the 3D era, especially when paired with Rockstar's original music selection. However, the PS2 port took the brunt end of criticism. Players felt it didn't hold up visually, while some calling the graphics muddy and the environments bland, and the draw distance too limited for a console experience. Others were disappointed by the lack of enhancements, no new missions, no extra polish, just a lift from the PSP with very little effort to make it shine on TV screens. Some noted how it lacked the dynamic touches of San Andreas and missed out on key features like swimming or climbing, making it feel like a step backwards. Controls were another major sore spot. Driving felt loose or floaty, camera angles were clunky in tight spaces, and hand-to-hand combat felt stiff. Several reviewers mentioned that even the act of targeting enemies could become frustrating, especially in timed or crowded missions. And while some appreciate the challenge, others felt the mission design leaned too heavy on repetition and basic structure. As for the glitches, opinions were split. Some players laughed them off, calling them classic GTA jank, while others found them immersion breaking. Reports of cars flying out of nowhere, pedestrians bugging out, or missions failing due to poor collision detection were common. But even among the criticisms, many players still recommended the game, especially for its budget price. One reviewer said it best: "It's not an epic audition, but it's still a strong game in its own right, and one that fits well in any Grand Theft Auto collection." All in all, Liberty City Stories wasn't just a successful experiment, it was a certified hit. It proved there was a demand for full-fledged GTA experiences beyond the main consoles, and it laid the groundwork for what Rockstar would do with Vice City Stories and even their mobile re-releases. Let's keep it real. Liberty City Stories get slept on, and it makes you wonder, why didn't this game blow up like it should have? I mean, look at the definitive edition. Rockstar gave the original trilogy a new coat of paint, but didn't even consider Liberty City Stories. That's wild to me. This game was a massive success on the PSP, and Rockstar even brought it to the PS2, where, fun fact, it became the 93rd best-selling game on a console. Now, I know what you're thinking. 93rd place? That doesn't sound great. But hold up. There are over 4,000 PS2 games. So for a PSP port to crack the top 100, that says something. And here's the real kicker. Liberty City Stories on the PS2 sold more copies than Silent Hill 2, Sly Cooper and the Devious Raccoonist, Budokai Tenkaichi 2, Resident Evil Code Veronica X, Hitman 2, Bully, NBA Street 2, and even Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Think about that. A portable port outsold some of the most iconic games on the platform. That's insane. So why is this so underrated? In my honest opinion, it's all about the promotion. Think back to E3 2005. Rockstar had 3 big games on display: Bully, The Warriors, and Liberty City Stories. And if you're like me and you had to rank these games based on impact, I'd say at number 1 you have Bully, at number 2 you have The Warriors, and at number 3 you have Liberty City Stories. Now don't get it twisted, I don't think Liberty Stories is bad, far from it. But something's always going to get overshadowed. It's like when 4 comic book movies drop in the same year. Say Superman, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and Captain America. People will rank them, and the top one usually gets the spotlight while the rest fade into the background. That's exactly what happens here. Even GTA 3 itself got left behind after the cultural waves of Vice City and San Andreas. So Liberty City Stories, it didn't stand a chance. I'll be honest, growing up, I didn't know this game existed until my brother brought it back in the day. I knew Bully, I knew The Warriors, but Liberty City Stories, that was hidden in the shadows. It wasn't until I got my hands on the Rockstar collection for the PS3 that I really gave it a shot. And man, what can I say? The game was freaking awesome. As a prequel, it's a return to Liberty City. As a full-fledged GTA experience on a tiny PSP disc, it was impressive. Seriously, the amount of content they packed into that handheld device is still shocking. It's just sad that this little gem sat in the corner while everything else got the spotlight. Liberty City Stories is more than a spinoff. It's a masterpiece that got overshadowed, making it one of the most underrated gems in Rockstar's entire catalog. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for rocking with me. Next week, we kick off the Saints Row takeover with the original Saints Row. And in just 2 weeks, we're headed back to class with Bully at Bulworth Academy. So stay tuned. It's going to be a ride. If you enjoyed this video, dropping a like helps push this out to more viewers. Another way to support the channel is making sure that you're subscribed. We're steadily making our way towards our goal of 10,000 subs this year, and every sub counts. And lastly, if you're feeling generous, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. This is the Retro Phantom, signing out.